I believe, I'm not trying to toot our horn, but I believe our defense has no weakness. Just from the defensive line, the linebacker, how they flying around and disguising defenses to make it look like one coverage, but it's something else, and how they time up their blitzes. It helps us out a lot, because we playing other teams, they flying around giving us their best shot. It's like we send one of the best defenses every day.
Great point by Lamar Jackson, the Ravens quarterback. When you're facing that defense all the time, it makes you better. You're better prepared when it's time to go play games because you don't see defenses as good as Baltimore's very often. However, Peter, this weekend, pretty good defense coming to town. Cleveland Browns getting another shot at the Ravens. Back in week 4, Baltimore won 27-3 in Cleveland. That was the game that Deshaun Watson said he was going to play. He had the shoulder injury. They decided on game day not to play him. Dorian Thompson-Robinson got the start. It did not go well for the Browns that day. They needed to go better now. The Ravens are trying to separate from that pack. They're 7-2, 3 teams behind them. Browns, Bengals, Steelers, all 5-3. Opportunity for the Ravens to keep doing what they've done at home recently, which is dismantle teams like the Lions and the Seahawks. Who do you think has the edge between the two defenses?
I think right now, if I'm just looking at sort of raw data, I think I would take Baltimore's slightly because, look, I think everybody could say, well, geez, look at what Cleveland did last week. They are unbelievable. And they were unbelievable, but they were unbelievable against a first-time quarterback who probably shouldn't have been starting in the NFL and against one of the worst, if not the worst teams in the league. Whereas Baltimore last week, if you look at what they did to the Seattle Seahawks, that is one of the most impressive performances since John Harbaugh has been their head coach. And you say, oh, wow, how do you say that? They had Ray Lewis, they had this. Just because it just was. Seattle's good. And they just did not let the Seahawks breathe. Mike, I kind of look at something else coming into this game. When I look at Lamar Jackson, as you look at this defense right here, it's oppressive. The safety, Geno Stone, has been having a great year, leads the NFL in interceptions. They simply did not let Geno Smith breathe last week. But, Mike, I also want to make this point, that in his career against the Cleveland Browns, Lamar Jackson is 7-3, and he's completed 68% of his throws, and he's been extremely impressive against the Browns. His quarterback rating is exactly 100. And I bring all that up because, look, the Browns have had a good defense. Maybe not as good as the one they have right now. But Lamar Jackson has great experience in knowing exactly how Myles Garrett plays. He's got great experience in knowing how that secondary covers. So I kind of like Baltimore a little bit, not only because they're playing at home, not only because, they skunked them earlier in this season when obviously Cleveland was without Deshaun Watson. But number 3, honestly, I like Baltimore in this game because I still don't really know what to expect out of Deshaun Watson.
That's the key. He came back last week and played the full game against the Cardinals, completed 19 of 30 passes for 219 yards and 2 touchdowns. But again, it was the Cardinals, a team that had 58 total yards offensively. This will be a different experience. This is the team that beat the Browns 27-3 in their own building and beat the Lions 38-6 at home, beat the Seahawks 37-3. It's one of the reasons why they've got the highest point differential by far, plus 115. The next team is plus 80, the Bills. So the Ravens don't just beat you, they beat you up. And it's going to be a real challenge for the Browns on both sides of the ball, especially in Baltimore. And, Peter, this really is the opportunity for the Ravens to separate. They've got the Browns Sunday, they've got the Bengals next Thursday night. Hey, folks, if you suffered through Panthers, Bears this Thursday night, here's the reward. It's Bengals at Ravens next Thursday night, and that will be a key game. but Sunday's game important as well. Because if the Browns are going to make a run, if the Browns are going to rise up, if the Browns are going to be a playoff contender, this is the game they have to declare themselves in. They're running out of chances. Huge difference. Obviously, every time you have a game and you win or lose, it's a huge difference. But just think about 5-4, 6-3. 5-4, 6-3. And after they've already lost to the Ravens, they get swept. They fall 3 games behind. They're not winning the division.
You know, the other thing I would say, Mike, is the reason why this 5-game stretch for Baltimore is absolutely vital for the AFC North is that the Ravens are sitting here right now 2-1 in the division, having played each team once and having played each team once on the road. They won at Cincinnati, they won at Cleveland, and they lost at Pittsburgh. So now think of this. If they were to sweep Cleveland and Cincinnati in these 5 games, it isn't only in those 5 days. It isn't only that the Ravens would be sitting there at 9-2, but they would have a commanding advantage in this division because nobody's beaten them in a tiebreaker. They would really have to collapse down the stretch. And the other thing is, Mike, if you think about it and you look at their schedule, they've got, and I forget, I've written this a couple of times, after they play the Bengals, they've got, I think, 2 games in the next 26 days. This is a time for the Ravens, if they can take advantage right now. They're going to be one of the most rested teams, maybe the most rested team of any contender down the stretch in this season. So this is a gigantic 5-day stretch for the Ravens and for the AFC North.
After that Bengals game, we see them following their mini-bye Sunday Night Football Week 12 at the Chargers. Then they have their full bye. Then they have the Rams coming to Baltimore. And then we see them Sunday night again at the Jaguars, December 17. Huge game because by then it could be Ravens clearly the division winners in the AFC North, Jaguars clearly the division winners in the AFC South, and 1 seed, Peter, 1 seed may hinge on that game. Ravens at the Jaguars coming up December 17 on NBC and Peacock.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.